It's a great pleasure to be here tonight to discuss the implementation of the CAP. Formerly in opposition, I was Shadow Minister for Water, and I think this was a key objective and a key promise that we made, and something that's vitally important to Australian agriculture, not just in the Murray-Darling Basin, but across our nation for its agricultural output. We must note right at the very start that it's not just the Murray-Darling Basin Plan that has returned water to the river. A lot of people think that the only time water has ever gone back to water has ever been put back into the system has been under the Murray-Darling Basin, Murray-Darling Basin Plan, but that's not the case. During the Living Murray, $700 million was put aside and invested to recover 500 gigalitres of water. In Water for Rivers, a joint initiative between the New South Wales, Victoria and Commonwealth to recover 282 gigalitres, 70 gigalitres for the River Murray and 212 gigalitres for the Snowy River for environmental flows. Also the Loddon River sales deal, water recovered as a consequence of the unbundling of prior water rights, and the Northern Mallee Pipeline and Wimmera Mallee Pipeline, which these two programs provided a mixture of regulated and unregulated water savings of 75 gigalitres. What we had at the start of the Murray-Darling Basin Plan under the previous government was something that got very close to a riot in Australia. Absolutely. It was actually quite startling how out of control it became. They were even tempted to go into partnership with the Australian Greens, and they were logical. They wanted about 6,000 gigs put back into the river. This would have brought a destitution for anybody, any of the farming communities. And floods in certain areas. I wouldn't be flippant, because this is things that absolutely drove people to the edge. Drove people to the edge, that they would have a government that was so completely out of touch and out of control that this issue had raised its head. At that point in time, of course, it was the role of the coalition to make sure that if they had a choice between Sarah Hanson-Young or the coalition, that we had to try and make sure that we played our part. So we went into partnership with the Labor Party to try and mitigate the effects that they would otherwise have caused by the reason of their strong working, and they were in partnership at that point in time. It was a Labor Green independent government, and that Labor Green independent government was discussing at one point in time taking 6,000 gigs out of the system. It would have been an absolute nightmare. Yet we went to work to make sure that we could bring about a better outcome, and one of the purposes of that better outcome is here tonight, with the cap of buybacks being limited to 1,500 gigalitres. We want to make sure we try to change the objective round so that we focused on the proper triple bottom line, which is economic, social and environmental. What we had before was environment, daylight, forget about everybody else, and then make excuses for the social and economic outcomes. That's right. That is not what we wanted. We wanted to make sure we maintain the fabric of the towns, maintain the fabric of the Dirrumbandys, of the St Georges, of the Milduras, of the Berries, of the Deniliquins, of the Griffiths, because these people have a right to an economic future, and water is wealth. Water is wealth, so it's so fundamentally important that we get this right. Even tonight, I was listening to the member for Hunter, and I wanted to make sure that diligently waiting for what their policy is going forward. I think the Australian people have a right. It's getting to that time in the electoral cycle. We should start hearing what the alternative policies of an aspirant government might be. But of course, we're not getting those. We're still getting the only thing we ever get from the Labor Party in regards to agriculture is comments on us, because we are the only ones with policies. We are the only ones with policies. We are the only ones with policies. And I'm glad you actually bring up the white paper, because we've got it, and I just want to go through it. It took us to put a further $500 million towards the National Water Infrastructure Development Fund, for which the facilitation letter has now been sent to myself, and Agriculture will be taking that forward and making sure we get this process underway. We have already been in discussion with state governments, including state Labor governments, about the rollout of this program. That is just one part. And of course, we have also started the PC inquiry into the regulation and discussions with the Productivity Commission into regards regulations affecting agriculture. We also have made sure that country of origin labelling. Country of origin labelling. Never happened under you guys, never happened under the other side, but it's happening under us. We have progressed this. We are going to give people a form of labelling that is both diagrammatic, that reflects proportionality, that is compulsory, and that is simple. And this process is already underway. This process it'll be rolling out in the start of next year. But it never happened under you. It's so easy because it never happens under them. Nothing ever happened under the Labor Party in agriculture. Not a thing, except bad news. Oh, they did do one thing. They shut down the live cattle trade. They managed that. 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 That was a great day in the office, that one. Then the streamlining of regulation of agricultural and veterinary chemicals. That's part of the white paper, and that is underway. Cooperatives. We're standing behind the cooperatives, and we've been having the discussions with cooperatives, and we had CBH in the office today as we start that process of trying to make sure that that runs out further. We are getting, and we are already going through the selection process right now of a commissioner to sit with the ACCC so that farmers get a fairer deal. That's a policy that happened under us and never happened under Labor, because no policies for agriculture happen under Labor. They don't believe in agriculture under Labor. All they can ever do is comment on our policies, because this is the only side you ever get policies. An opt-in for income tax averaging. So we've had an opt-out, and now we've got an opt. Once you got out of income tax averaging, you're unable to get back in. But we are putting it back in so that after 10 years you can get back in. We're doing this. We've already brought forward 100% write-off, 100% write-off on fences, 100% write-off on water reticulation, a write-off over 3 years on fodder. This thing has actually happened. We've already done it. It's already there. These are the processes that are happening. Freight modelling for agriculture, expansion from the CSR under transit to try and attract money into agriculture, attract money for the construction of major nation-building infrastructure. Better seasonal forecasting. We're already starting that process of better seasonal forecasting. Trying to get multi-peril crop insurance up and running. We're putting $29.9 million towards that, and that process is also part and parcel, and we're going through the formulation of getting that program up and running. We could go on. Now, drought recovery loans. Oh, well, they poo-poo the drought recovery loans because that's another thing. They only ever comment on our policies because they've got none of their own. Well, they said, what have we been doing? So, at this point in time, the value of the loans that have been allocated, the total value is $354.87 million. So I'm informed right now between farm finance, drought concessional and drought recovery. Now, what's also important there is the applications approved, 675. Do you know how many we had under them? 8. 8 under the Labor Party, 675 under us. I don't think you have to look to the government as to who actually does something in agriculture. We're actually doing it. So 8 under us, 8 under the Labor Party Green Independent Coalition and the Labor Party in the previous government, 675 under us. Well, that is a vast difference. Farm household allowance. Under the Labor Party, money that goes direct to those doing it tough, not a loan, a direct payment to those doing it tough. Under the Labor Party, they're exceptional. 367 people. That's how many they got it out to, 367. Under us, the customers that have received the payment, 4,522. 4,522. So we can see the difference that a difference in government makes. And then we heard from the Shadow Minister for Agriculture, the member for Hunter, that died without a trace. Well, what do you call this? A block of flats? What do you call that? A block of flats. Front page, white knight. Yeah, not a bad look at me. Delivered. Yep, delivered. Yeah. Delivered. So it's quite obvious. It's quite obvious that not only did we work hard, but we got the respect. We got the respect back from people because they knew we'd gone into bat for them. And then we hear from the Shadow Minister for Agriculture. It's like a booby prize for the Labor Party. Getting agriculture, they just hate it. They always wish they had something else, anything, trip overseas. But it's a bad luck day when they get the Minister for Agriculture. But for us, it's the centre of government. We love it. We love it because it represents the work and our key constituency and the things that we need to do, the things that we want to do, the things that we're doing right now. He said that the member for Hunter said that the China Free Trade Agreement had more to do with them than us. I just had a look. It started back in 2005. I was trying to remember who the government was back then. Well, hang on. It's a coalition. It's a coalition that started it. It's a coalition that started it and the coalition that delivered on it. Or we're going to deliver on it if the Labor Party ever decide to come out and publicly state they'll support it. Publicly state they'll support it like the Premier of South Australia, Joe Retherall, wants it supported. Publicly supported like the Premier of Victoria, Daniel Andrews, wanted it supported. Publicly supported like the Premier of Queensland, Anastasia Palaszczuk, wants it supported. Publicly supported like the premiers of, well, every state want it supported. But
get on board.
And then other people I've got some respect for. Bob Hawke, he wants it supported. Martin Ferguson, he wants it supported. Simon Crean, he wants it supported. But who doesn't want it supported? Well, of course, it's the love child of the BLF, the CFMEU. They don't want it supported, and who have they listened to? Well, they listen to the love child of the BLF, because the BLF, like Norm Gallagher, he's back. He's running the show. He's running Labor Party policy. And I know that the shadow minister opposite knows full well that it's a very bad look, a very bad look. It's a bad look. It's a bad look for a prospective government when you look at your biggest client in the face and say, we're considering whether we want to do business with you. That's a very peculiar thing for a prospective government to say out there, away from the sensationalism of the BLF, that you'd probably think it'd be better to be listening to the VFF or the NFF or AgForce. They'd be better people to listen to than the BLF. But anyway, you've made your choice, and you've built your cross, and now you're happily climbing up on it. So what we have to do, what we are doing, is making sure that agriculture is at the centre, of government. And what we have done is made one of the most major policy deliveries in my time in Parliament, and what we are waiting for, and I think this is so important, what we are waiting for is at some point in time, I don't know, when all the angels are aligned, when all the things are right, that a Labor Party member will come into this chamber and actually deliver what their policy for the future is going to be. Any policy, any idea, skerrick of an idea, maybe a question at question time about, policy, rather than sort of a grab bag of gotcha moments. No, because that's what competency does. See, you should be spending your time in opposition, and the way you're going, you might be there for a fair while, but you should be spending your time developing policy. That's what we did. And then when we came to government, we delivered the white paper, and we delivered the policy outcomes. See, if you can't deliver any sort of vision, any sort of plan for the future in agriculture, then where are you going to deliver? Where are you going to deliver your plans? So the issue. Well, we've heard these agricultural policies now, family violence. Well, that's incredible. We'll run that one out there. I'll take the interjection. The interjection from the member opposite is that his plan, as close as he could get to agriculture, was an issue about family violence. Family violence is extremely important, needs proper diligence, it's got nothing much to do with agriculture. And until you're able to come in here and talk about agriculture, then we're going to call you for what you are. It is a pastime. You are incompetent. You have no hope. Because after 2 years, if you don't have the acumen to come up with agricultural policy, then I believe you don't have any agricultural policy. So we will continue working as hard as we can in the policies that we delivered. We will start rolling out the infrastructure, which we are already doing. We've got Chaffey Dam underway. We've got the northern Tasmania, we've got Tasmanian irrigation schemes underway. We are rolling forward now with the 1,500 gig cap on the Murray-Darling Basin to put some form of security back into the Murray-Darling Basin that was absolutely decimated by the time of the previous governments with their interreaction with the Greens and the Independents, and the bizarre position that left us in. There is only one person the Australian people need to listen to if they want to hear agricultural policy, and that is the Coalition, because the Labor Party, the Greens and the Independent have offered and do offer